Check, check, check. All right, let's try that again. Yeah, that'll be edited in the future for all the beautiful people on iTunes and Spotify. But if you were here in the live chat, you got a good hard 2 minutes of me just talking into the void because no one heard what the fuck I just said. I had such a clever, goddamn, I don't know if you guys could tell I had a clever idea where it's so funny. You're just seeing me talking, like no sound coming out, and then I just make a face where I go like, and then I change the title to Toon Squad. Yes, it is Friday. It is Friday. Pat is a busy boy, and I got to be perfectly honest. I don't know how much I have to talk about. Don't worry, it's me, Andy Malfrina. I will find something to talk about. I always figure it out. To at some point I find something to talk about. That's the beauty of these streams. You never know what it's going to be, but it always ends up being, something in the pocket, something in the realm of the things I talk about. But yes, it is the Friday show. Pat is not here. He had to go to a butt sex convention. He is the honorary guest of it. They hand out awards. They go like, I never knew anyone could take this much. And he did. And now he's getting the key to a guy's ass. It's a pretty beautiful fucking thing. And I'm really happy for him. But Pat's going. Andy was mouthing the hard R. Yes, I do. I'm going to start doing the first 2 minutes of these streams muted so I could get all the slurs out. And just really open up. It's kind of like my vocal exercise. I go, na 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 na. Which funny and dude, I was at the creek last night. Again, look at this. This is how much of a professional I am. I don't have any plans whatsoever. And then I just start yapping, and boy, howdy, do I think of things to talk about. No, I was at the creek last night. I popped out the creek of the cave after my shift doing some valet stuff, which funny enough, I got to drive. That's not the way to string these sentences together. But no, I got to drive a Tesla truck last night. I got to be honest, and I say this as a guy. Oh man, Dunbar, key to the shitty. Very good, Dunbar. Very good joke. I say this as a guy who hated on Teslas, got to park a lot of them. Now I'm becoming a Tesla fan. There's little things about it that annoy me. I still don't love Elon, all that kind of stuff. I'm not one of those dorks who it's so funny to like own a Tesla and then have like I bought this before Elon stunk. And you're kind of acknowledging you literally bought a car based off politics, which is like crazy. But either way, I've been driving the Teslas more. And I got to be honest, they're fun. There's still little things here and there that are like dumb about them, but like for all intents and purposes, the Tesla is a fun car to drive. You have to get used to it. That's what annoys me about the Teslas and shit like that. Is it's a whole thing of like, it's this whole thing where he goes, actually, this is better. So you just, I will not adjust to anyone else. I will not adjust to what other people want. I will just make it this way and then tell you this is better. And just, you have to do that. You know what I mean? It's no sense of going, what would the customer want? And that's, again, that kind of like goes hand in hand with another part of like what annoys me about the guy is like, it's always about him. He knows better, blah, blah, blah. It doesn't matter how much this sort of like affects the people, affects the country, all this other stuff. It's just this like God complex of like, I know what's best. I know what's better, and it'll be like little things when you're doing it. And like that's the thing about his car where I'm not like so pompous to be like the car fucking sucks. But it is everything about it. You're like, yeah, not like if it's just like if this is better, this is the way. Every single thing about it, it's a thing of like not necessarily. It's just another way to do it. Like the one that makes me laugh the most are like his door handles, and you're like, it's not like I think they figured out fucking door handles. What or who are we talking about? Elon Musk and the Tesla, and how this. I drove a Cybertruck last night and it fucking sucks ass so much. But like that's the thing with um um that's what annoys me about his whole thing is he's like, he's deemed himself a genius. He's deemed himself a genius. It's so funny talking about Africans. But that's the whole thing that annoys me about him. It's like he's deemed himself a genius, which I think he's talented in what he's talented in, but I think if you watch the guy for any amount of time, you're like, "No, I think you're good at organizing companies around your sci-fi interests. I think that's what you're amazing at." Like, and it's like you don't become the richest man in the world because you're bad at things. You know what I mean? You become the richest man in the world because you're probably, which I gotta be honest, based off the video game shit and what I've heard, I don't even like this jury's still on and out. The jury's still out on if he's like a good coder or anything like that. But what the dude has is belief in himself. For all his faults, you can give him that. It's like, well, this is what happens when you believe in yourself. But also at the same time, when you believe in yourself, can Andy, that's so funny. Can Andy fit in a 911 Porsche? Brother, I can fit in most cars, but some cars are harder to fit in. It's like the thing with Elon Musk where it's like he's so convinced and determined that he's just like imposing his will on the world, and it's annoying and self-destructive at best. Like even with like the Doge shit, not self-destructive, just like super destructive. Like even with the Doge shit, it's like I remember when it was happening, I was like, nah, he's taking away shit. And it was kind of like you see all those people losing their jobs and stuff, and you're just like, well, if we're gonna do this is what's gonna happen if we're gonna do government cuts and stuff like that. But then it's like long term, nothing like Doge was a huge failure. Nothing really came from it. And it's like any money they saved, I'm pretty sure they just repurposed it for like Israel or just or fucking Ukraine or something else that the government is doing. I'm pretty sure that happened. And so it's just like, oh, so you just like fucked up a bunch of people's lives just to have a political thing, which to me, it was like very clear dude was just doing his political shit to get in good favor with who like the current, like I'll give him that. Like he saw it long term coming that it's like, oh, Trump's going to get into office. I'm going to do a hard shift on this shit to get other people's attention and everything like that. But anyway, like you guys know me, I could rant about Elon all the time, but like that's my thing about Elon is it's like dude, do your shit, but the way that he like embeds himself in the government and like tricks these people into doing shit, it's like one man's sci-fi fantasy is really leading to his will being imposed directly on people, because it's like everything, all of his things, it's like he talks to them as like these matter of facts, and it's always just a like, yeah, maybe, but like it's like still a 50-50 toss up. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's this thing of like, yes, we need to, rather than fixing the earth, we just have to send people to Mars. And like, you're just supposed to sit there and go like, wow, that's so noble and realistic. And you're like, you know what I mean? Like, it's just implied that you're like, obviously. And it's all like, that's basically all the shit. It's like the other thing is like, well, traffic's real bad in LA. You know what we should do is dig tunnels that, just dig one lane tunnels. You know what I mean? And you're like, okay, that seems really specific and all. I don't know. Anyway, sorry. I could go on. I could go on all day on Elon. I just don't want it to come off like, again, you guys know me. I like to be a well-researched hater. I don't like to just hate out of impulse. Like my hating starts out of impulse, but like I don't, because all the time, people always try to discount what you're saying, and you're like, no, I got receipts. Like I got receipts. It just like that's really, I think that's kind of the thing that annoys me about Elon is like you just take everything he says as gospel, and it's like if you look over the years, he just comes off as like way more of a normal dude than people want to give him, people want to admit, and then it just seems like, you know what I mean, like I don't know. I get annoyed with the genius shit. But he's not dumb. I'm not saying he's dumb because it's like you gotta, even if you are like a Steve Jobs who apparently was just, he didn't know a lot. He just was like, go do that, go do that, go do that, which I think is underselling dudes like that. Um, and I think Elon's the same way. Like listening to his biography, it's like the same way where it is a lot of like, you guys go do that, make this better, make this better. You still have to like know some shit in the beginning to like get to that level. So I'm not even discounting that I'm not even saying he's dumb. I just, if you take a dude who's pretty smart in coding and engineering and stuff like that, and you transpose that, and then you give him like literally, that's what a lot of people underappreciate is if you give him the most confidence any man has ever had, would you not then get like rockets done? Because it's like you got to look at a lot of stuff, and I'm not diminishing what he's accomplished, but everyone looks at what he's accomplished and goes like, only genius Elon could do that. And I go, nah, man. I mean, like Teslas are way more popular, but they're not even like the predominant car or anything. And honestly, he started doing that process in the early 2000s. So, and if he didn't have a shit ton of money from the government, the Tesla probably would fail. He also had private investors, but let's be real. If he didn't have a shit ton of money from the government and he didn't have a shit ton of these like tax break loopholes, Tesla would be done. And it was a slow process of going from early 2000s of nothing to 2025. And you look around and you go, oh, look, there's a couple more Teslas than I normally see. And it's like the same thing with the fucking rocket. It's not to say that shooting rockets into space isn't crazy. It's just like, well, what's the process? Oh, did they get it a little bit better every single time? You're like, yep, that's the process for any technology. You know what I mean? You just didn't go poof, and then the Tesla is how it is now just showed up. It was a thing of like, yeah, over trial and error, over a long period of time, it's gotten to where it is. And is it even the perfect new thing that everyone's going, oh my God, this is the greatest of all time? No. So to me, that just sounds like a regular process for a product on the line. You know what I'm saying? That's my thing. Anyway, you guys are yapping up a storm, but damn, that's my fault. It's so easy for me to get off on an Elon rant. I apologize. But anyway, let me post real quick on Twitter about the stream because I made this fun little. If you guys want to go to my Instagram, if you want to go to my Instagram, I made a fun little video to promote the stream. There we go. Let's go to Twitter. All right, post that on Twitter. Yeah. I made this whole little video and now I'm streaming. I just forgot to post it. Yeah, I apologize. I'm sorry. I'm not trying to go on a whole fucking Elon rant, but like every time it gets brought up, it just irks me. I don't know, man. Hey, Kliga, what's up, brother? Thank you for coming from IG. But anyway, so yeah, it's so funny. I was literally just talking about that's the other thing too, where it's just like, when you actually like, if you're sitting from a distance with Elon and Tesla and all that shit, you can like, it's super easy to just drink the Kool-Aid because it's like inconsequential. You know what I mean? It's inconsequential whether he's a genius or not, or the car's good or bad. But once you start like using the shit, like that's the thing about Elon and all of his stuff. Like, once you start using the shit, you're like, well, this is fine. It's not that it's bad. It's just not, I didn't use it and go, oh, I have to do this. Like he'll be like, oh, I'm a genius and I make these space age cars. And then, he puts out the Tesla truck and you're just like, oh, everything in my being hates like everything. That just goes against everything natural that I feel that I like about things. And it's like, it's always that shit you can hide behind where you're just like, well, this is the new age of car that you're not used to. I go, I don't know, man. I think we've been doing cars for over 100 years and they sort of figured out the general vibe of what people like. I mean, definitely cars back in the day had way more personality. And honestly, we should go back to that. But I don't think like, I don't think like I don't think what was missing from cars was like hard right angles. Like I don't think we were looking at trucks and we were like, what if it was just, what if it was one of those hard shapes we can't remember the name for exactly? What if it was that? And then, dude, and it's like little stuff. It's little stuff that's the other part about the whole fucking thing. Cause it's like, I don't know, man. I just think a genius, like a genius would have a sense of humor more than like a middle school kid, which I'm not above farts and dick jokes and shit like that. But like, that's the other part of it too. I'm a fucking retard with a cum podcast. I'm not being lauded as the next fucking, Henry Ford or the Wright brothers or whatever the fuck. And then you get in the car and he's like, wouldn't it be cool if the steering wheel was an oval? Because that's like a spaceship. And you're like, okay. No, again, like that's my other thing where it's just like, that's fine. But like, to me, this is like, again, and it's on par with a lot of the technology, especially with like, dude, even with this, like, even when that dickhead's talking about like fucking AI, which he helped sort of bring into existence the way it is now, that also drives me fucking nuts. Where you just have like he's just sitting there being like, AI is going to become the future, blah blah blah, da, da, da. And it's just like, oh, the thing you made. So like none of this had to be, again, all this stuff, none of it had to be. It's just you imposing what you think the world should be on everyone else. And no, like every time you do it, like every time you present it, everyone goes like, I guess, like maybe. And that's not good enough for you, so you just impose it on everyone else. And then you're doing a goddamn fucking speech about AI, just being like, yeah, they're going to control all of us, and da-da-da, and it might end badly. You know what I mean? It's like, you don't get to be the prophet because everything you forced on everyone just happens to be happening. Oh, like, congrats, dude. Yeah, and it just drives me nuts too. I don't know. It's also because I'm trying not to like shit on the guy directly, but you just go back to the car and it's like, dude, it's not sleek. You're inside of it. It's super tacky. Like I remember I was driving the truck and I don't know, like I don't know where the axle is exactly, but it's like set up differently and it does not handle and turn like other cars. And I know it's like, well, this is the better way to do it. Dude, it's not. It's not. It's fucking weird. You know what I mean? That's the big thing with all the stuff in the Tesla. It's not, none of it's better. Oh, and that's what I was going to say. It coincides with like what we're realizing with technological advances right now. It's like, it's not that there's no technological advances. There's still plenty of them. But there's a lot of them that were presented to us as technological advances that are just sidesteps. They're not moving us forward. They're just moving us to the side. That's what we realized with streaming. Like, sure, don't get me wrong. Technically speaking, I'm watching more movies than I would have for cheaper. That's true. But as the overall human experience of streaming, is it better? I don't know. I don't think so. Like, I wouldn't say, like, yes, technically I'm seeing, because of streaming, I'm probably seeing way more movies and TV shows than I would have. But if, like, while I'm watching them, am I having a better, it's like the way that everything feels so fucking disposable now, am I having a better experience? I don't know. I don't think so. Like, I don't think it's necessarily true that I'm having a better experience with all this shit. Like when it comes to, I talk about it a bunch with the fucking cell phone. It's like, is the cell phone making my life better? Sure. Having a GPS in my phone rips. And I got to be honest, being able to attach my credit cards to my phone's actually kind of cool. There's a bunch of stuff on it where it's like, oh yeah, that made everything a little bit better. Having a camera in my pocket all the time, having a little bit better. But then when I think of like quality of life and mental health and stress, and I go like, well, I was like, when I think about that, Oh wait, sorry. I was like seeing the comments. I saw Ivan and Slav going. I was like, you guys fighting again about school shootings? But no, 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 no. Yeah, there's a bunch of cool shit about my phone. You know what I'm saying? But then it's like, but then you think about quality of life, and you're like, oh yeah, that those stupid little scrolling apps, I get caught up, and they just ruin my fucking day. They just ruin my fucking day. So it's like, with social media and shit. So there's a lot of technology. There's a lot of technology now that's just poised as a forward step when it's really just like a lateral step. And that's kind of what we're realizing. That's kind of what we're like realizing with the Tesla and AI and a lot of technology right now. It's being forced upon you, and again, I implore everyone to, at any chance they get, drive a Tesla, drive a Tesla, drive a fucking Cybertruck, and you'll quickly realize I'm not even like shit. Like, the Cybertruck did suck ass, but I will get the back of the Teslas, because it's like any little problem a Tesla has. My fucking Mazda outside has little problems that annoy me about it, but on the whole, it's a good car. But again, everything about the Tesla, like all this stuff that's lauded as like, oh my God, this is super advanced shit. Like the self-driving, you're like, yeah, I mean, like, I can park my fucking car. You know what I mean? Like, is that what you want to do? Is that what you want to do? You just want to be, you know what I mean? You just want to be a sack of meat for these computers to do shit around? You know what I mean? Like, that's all you want to do? My coffee's not warm anymore. That's also Elon's fault. God damn it, Elon. Make a goddamn car that heats my coffee up, you piece of shit. But yeah, it's like, is that like, it's like these little things. These little things where because a lot of mine are car related because I've been valeting cars a bunch. But it's little things like that, man. You back up your car and there's like 5,000 cameras, and you realize, like, I don't need all these fucking cameras. You're just taking away my autonomy. You're just taking away what makes me a fucking human. So it's like there are little things where you look at and you go like, ooh, this car can park itself. And you're like, you know, it's like working in a warehouse. Compound motions, bro. Compound motions. You bend with your back one time, that's not a big deal. But you do that every day for every lift over the course of your 30-year career at the fucking warehouse, you can't fucking walk right. You look like goddamn Quasimodo. You know what I mean? So it's like, dude, I'm gonna keep it a brick. Like, yeah, so self-driving, self-parking, that's cool. But you hit that button, 1,000 times you hit that button, you've just given a robot away something that makes you a human. So it's like, you know what I mean? It's why I give all props to Dune. All props to Dune. I love to bring up some fucking Dune, dude. I'm the Dune dude. You know that about me. But like, that's where they got it, where it's like they got rid of all the technology that replaced humans. That's what you can't fucking do with this shit. Got to get rid of, you can't be doing the shit that replaces you. You only do the shit that helps you. You know what I mean? Don't do the shit that replaces you. Don't do the shit that turns you into a fucking battery. Because that's what social media is doing. You're just a fucking battery. You know what I mean? They're just getting info, and they're just maybe not a battery, but like a test subject, whatever the fuck it is. I don't know, man. It seems superficial and petty on the surface, but it seems superficial and petty, but it's one of those things where it's like, just be aware, man. Like, they're trying to make technology to replace us. They just are. You know what I mean? They tried to do that with a bunch of jobs, like call service jobs. They tried to replace it with AI. They're trying to replace technology. I'm sorry, they're trying to make technology that replaces us. And like, it just has to be like a hard no. Like, I was talking to Pat about that with the AI music, and like they were doing with that Beat My Gay show with Colton, which I was checking out the shit's fun, but I was like, Pat was saying, they're like, yeah, I was thinking people might be watching this being like, they might have a problem with the AI. And I was like, dude, I don't blame them. You know what I mean? Because like, it's fun. It's fun to do the little AI shit here and there and to mess around with it. But, ultimately the bigger goal with all this AI stuff seems to like replace human beings. Because a lot of these fucking a lot of these fucking Silicon Valley fucks making all this AI shit, they don't seem to like be the biggest fans of humans and stuff like that. And they're trying to present it to you in this like cheery, fun little way. But it's like when everything they make just goes like, it's one thing to make your life better. It's another thing to just take away all things that make you a human. And you're like, what do you have left to do? And you're like, just sit there. Just sit in the fucking chair. And at the end in Wall-E, you guys remember those fucking chairs? Let me pull up the fucking picture. Where the fuck is it? Yeah, dude. Yeah, dude. This is what it is, man. This is what it is. There we go. Just sit in the fucking chair. Also, that looks like Charlie Kirk. That literally looks like Charlie Kirk. But for real, dude, like that's what they want you to do. They just want you to sit in the chair. You know what I mean? You're just supposed like that's the version of capitalism these like corporations and the government wants for you. You know what I mean? If you leave it up to like if you keep it more of like a free market capitalism, you can definitely like, get some good shit. But they want this like crony bullshit version where you're just a landfill. You're just a battery in a fucking landfill for these people. They just want to pump shit into you. They just want you to sit in the fucking chair. You know what I mean? And that's kind of like what it is, dude. People get scared of fucking Mexicans taking their jobs. Well, fucking I'd rather have a bunch of Mexicans down at Home Depot than a bunch of fucking clankers. You know what I mean? Also, it's not a this or that. We talked about. I fucking love the Mexicans, dude. It's just like we were talking about yesterday. You're in this country for 40 years and you don't try to learn English. What the hell, man? What the hell? What's the point of even coming here? You came here because your shit was fucking gay and you knew our shit was way better. Why aren't you adjusting to our shit? That's all I was trying to say yesterday. But yeah, man, they want you to fucking sit in the chair. Right? That looks like Charlie Kirk, by the way. Calling illegals bio. God damn it. Why is racism so funny? Why is racism so fucking funny? But yeah, calling illegals bio clankers is so fucking funny. Yeah, man. That's like my main thing. If the technology replaces you, it's not a good thing. And the people, I don't know if they're a part of the occult. I don't fucking know, but I know what's happening. And it's like whether they're people waste their time trying to figure out the intentions of psychos. And it's like, brother, if it smells like shit, they're probably full of shit. You know what I mean? Or I should not, maybe not probably full of shit. Just like err on the side of fucking caution. You know what I mean? It's like, but he's saying all these nice things. It's like, yeah, someone who wants to replace the human race with fucking robots is going to sound, if they're smart, they're going to sound upbeat. You know what I mean? Like, the devil doesn't roll in all spooky scary. He comes in with a smile. Comes with a goddamn smile on his face. That's what people need to realize with a lot of this fucking shit. They go like, they'll like shit on religion. They'll be like, oh, you think there's a man in the sky? And it's like, brother, get from it what they're trying to get at you. It's like I look at like a lot of this religious shit and it's all, to me, I realized I was like, oh, it's like ancient wisdom. It's not meant to be taken literally. It's meant to be taken as like, well, what's a way through story that can give you a good framework of how to live a prosperous life. And you go like, oh, you know what I mean? It's like I talked about it the one time I showed fucking David Eichmann on here. And it's like, if you hear him and you go, oh, are there literal lizards in the government? You're like, I don't know. That sounds crazy. But if you sort of extrapolate from it and not take him 100% literally, it's like the dude's kind of on point. It's like, I don't know if they're fucking lizards, but they're not acting like they're a part of the fucking human society. You know what I mean? I don't know if Sam Altman's a demon sent from hell, but he's definitely not acting like he's definitely not acting like he's part of the human race. You know what I mean? Well, all these guys. That's kind of what I'm saying, Ad. It's like, I don't know. Cause also too, like the bad guy doesn't know he's the bad guy. That's the thing. The bad guy thinks he's the good guy. So you're not gonna get the bad guy to go like, yes, I was actually doing this for evil, nefarious shit. But it's like, yeah, the bad guy doesn't think he's doing anything wrong. So it's like you got to look out for your own interest and realize you're like, man, that dude's really promoting a lot of anti-human bullshit. Maybe he's the bad guy, you know? And you need to act accordingly. But yeah, sorry. I pulled up my TikTok and it started playing old Cumtown clips. What are we saying right here? Not to be religious, but there's definitely a lot of things to be taken from a grain of salt to be a better person in general, if you believe it or not. Well, that dude, I've said this before, so I'll try not to go through the long ass thing again. But it's like I realized it reading Jordan Peterson's like 12 Rules for Life, which I'm always big on pre-Benzos Peters. Pre-Benzos Peters is a good time, dude. Dude knew what he was talking about. Maybe he didn't have the whole I don't know if he had the willpower to have personal follow through, but he wasn't wrong. You know what I mean? Dude wasn't wrong. And yeah, like if you look at 12 rules, because it's like I was thinking about that in contrast to like the 10 commandments. And I was like, dude, if fucking 12 rules just gets, it like we lose like a lot of historical records and they just find this book 1,000 years from now when they're like real desperate and the world's going to shit. And they just read that book and start following it. Like whether you agree with everything Jordan Peterson said or not, if you just follow 12 rules, basic instructions before leaving Earth. Dude, kind of. Like that's kind of what it is, man. Like if you look at it that way, it fucking rips. If you look at it from the organized religion standpoint where they take advantage of it to steal your money and shit and fuck your kids, it does not rip. But if you look at it as basic instructions before leaving Earth, it fucking rips, dude. And that's why I get annoyed with the whole fucking, you know what I mean? It's like, yeah, you interpreted one way and it's very anti-gay. And then a lot of people just throw the whole thing out. And then they see like the worst religious person in the world and they throw the whole thing out. But it's like, dude, in the same vein, it's like, oh, you're going to stop watching Rick and Morty because the fans suck? You know what I mean? Or like they had one bad episode. It's like, yeah, dude, don't throw the whole thing out. Just go like, because that's the other part. People are fucking, I don't know. It's all this or that. It's like, oh, that's bad. The whole thing's bad then. You're like, no. Like fucking 10% of it can be fucking stupid. 10% of it can suck ass and you can still eat, dude, even 80, like even like 20%, 30%. It's like if that other 70% fucking rips, keep that 70%. He takes 1,000 shots, one's bound to hit. That's so funny. But yeah, man. Yeah, that's why. Going back to this comment, that's why I realized, Rose, like, it's like, and then you think about the Bible and all those old holy books, and you're like, yeah, dude, people couldn't read back in the day. And you got to imagine, like, bro, if like back in the day when the Bible was written, if you knew how to like read and write, you were in the like top 1% of the top 1% of the top 1%. And like the intelligence gap between those people. And now that I'm talking about it out loud, I'm like, man, they were probably aliens probably wrote the holy books. Now that I'm thinking about it out loud. But like if you damn, this is why I can't waste my time with little I just got too many big picture thoughts. Damn, I just came to that on my own and now I'm intrigued with aliens more. Fuck. Now I got a whole other thing to be into. God damn it. The cross I bear, genuinely being interested in too many things. It's fun, but oh my God, is it exhausting. That's the cross I bear, boys. But no, dude, legitimately, it's just like, dude, aliens probably wrote these books because they were like, these humans can't stop fucking up. They're going to all die out if we don't give them this shit. But yeah, no, even if aliens didn't write the Bible, like imagine if you're the guy who writes the Bible, just being able to read and write, the intelligence gap between you and the average person has to be fucking insane. And like you just see all these people fucking up. And you're like, for our own prosperity, we got to do it this way. We got to write these stories because that's how they're going to get it. That's how they're going to get it if we make up these stories. And then we tell them these stories. And if they have even if the shit's not actually going to happen, if they have the fear that it's going to happen, it's going to get the right behavior we want out of them. And that kind of like that's kind of the vibe is like you have to, because like most people aren't like the average person isn't of overwhelming intelligence, and they're also not like a super. It's honestly more so than that because I think the average person isn't even that dumb, but the average person doesn't have like a very critical. I think that's more of what it is. The average person isn't that critical of shit. The average person is just like it's the way they're fucking Jim Carrey in that one movie. That's the way the cookie crumbles. You're like, that's just is it just is how it is. And they don't take time to question which part of it is like really fucking retarded. So like, you kind of need that shit to, I don't know, man. That's why I'm always like in a perfect world, it would just be nice if you could get a good dictator. You know what I mean? If you got a dictator that couldn't get corrupted, that would be ideal, but I don't think that's possible. I don't think that's a possible thing to do. Anyway. Yeah, man. Now I got to research. I got to research. Yeah, now I'll have to oh shit. Sorry, I got tagged in my comments about bands I should check out. Nah, dude, it was fucking sick. There was this fucking there's this fucking lady posting about stuff. Wait, I gotta look her up again. And there we go. There we go. Perfect. Yeah, there was this lady posting about stuff. I gotta throw out her name because she's fucking sick. But she introduced me to this band called Bore, I think they're called. And basically, if you guys are into Every Time I Die, you got to check these guys out. Yeah, they're called Bore, and they have an album out called Feral. But yeah, what the heck was this lady's name? She's a comic, but she's a comic like me who posts a shit ton about like music and stuff online. The actual Bailey Pope, BAILEYPOPE. I don't know if you guys will like her comedy. I think she's a lot more like liberal than I am, but she has really good fucking taste in music and she seems cool as fuck. So if you guys need good music suggestions, look up Bailey Pope. But she posted about this band Bore, and then I may have swag jacked her post a little bit, but it felt a little dirty what I did. It felt like I just stole her post, but also at the same time, when I like a band, I like a fucking band, and I just need more people to know about that band. So I swag jacked her a little bit, but I gave her all the credit, and then she commented and she was telling me about some other bands, and then those bands commented on my post, and now some of them followed me. It's fun. Bands, I'm such a dork, dude. It doesn't matter. Like you could have 100 listens online. You could have 100 million listens online. If a band follows me on social media, I go, that's really fucking cool. It's just like I'm sitting. Like I remember it happened where I'm like, oh, a band of a bunch of 20-year-old kids followed me online. That's so fucking cool. It's just, I don't know, man. Music's a big part of my whole thing. So it's fun as hell getting followed by bands. Yes. Some of these comments are great. Yeah, Peter Thiel is obsessed with the Antichrist. It's like, dude, they're letting you know. You just gotta listen. I love that this joke's becoming a meme in the chat. I'm not saying he's a literal demon from hell, but he's a demon from hell. But also, too, the point and I love the joke, but I was also making the point of like, I'm not saying he's a demon in hell. But is he not behaving the way a demon would hell might behave if he was here causing problems? And you're like, yes, they seem very similar. Yeah. They aren't a part of the same social class as most Americans, so they have almost nothing in common with the common man besides breathing the same air. Well, that's a big thing too, where it's like they're so, and it's another thing of like, it's why I always got annoyed that Ayn Rand called her fucking book the Virtues of Selfishness, because she makes a good point about basically. I haven't like read it. Like I've definitely heard people talking about it, and I've checked out parts of it, but Ayn Rand, for as fucking smart as she was, god damn it, was she a boring writer. Dude, I tried to fucking crush The Fountainhead. I tried to fucking crush Atlas Shrugged. I'm gonna give it another go, but at some point. But they're long, boring fucking books. And then I was trying to read The Virtue of Selfishness, and it's fucking dry. So then I was like, all right, let me go listen to someone talk about. Let me go listen to someone who finished this book. And I looked up that. But like ultimately, from what I've gathered from it, the ultimate message is like, yo, just worry about yourself. Just worry about yourself and your family. And don't like, because there's this thing that happens through like phony, through like a lot of that phony altruistic shit where you're like, we're going to go help these people, and you set up a whole thing, but because you're just doing it to make yourself feel good, you're not going to do the proper due diligence, and you're not going to like really understand the situation, and you're not going to give them the actual help that they need. It's like when people are like, we need to, it's why a lot of people lean towards just giving people money, because they think the problem is that they don't just have money. And it's not that some people will take the money and act responsibly, but it like goes into, it goes into the similar incentive structures you get with taxes, where if you put higher taxes on things, you will get less of that. And if you put lower taxes on stuff, you'll get more of that. It's the same thing with giving people money, is like, and I've talked about before, I'm not mad at people who get welfare and SNAP and all that. Like, if we're talking about welfare, let's talk about Israel and fucking Ukraine and all these other countries before we get to fucking poor people in America. So just to keep that on Front Street, but so you guys know where I'm fucking at with that. But like for real though, it's like they understand it with taxes, but it's if you, because you think like, oh, these people are down and out, they just need a little hand. But it's not even, because I'm not even calling them fucking dickheads. It's just human nature. It's just human nature. You could be a well-intentioned person, but if you keep getting money regardless of improving your behavior, you're probably just like, you're more likely to just keep doing that thing that you got the money for. So it's like it incentivizes your shitty situation. And that's not like a judgment call, I'm just saying. And so like that's the kind of thing where it's like there is an argument. Now, I hate the term selfishness because it's polarizing, and it like immediately gets people to shut their fucking brains off because they just hear that. Because it's like, bro, because I was thinking about that recently, where like when I was even when I was like talking to Pat, and I'm not trying to shit on Pat. Pat's very I love hearing Pat's opinions because he has such an interesting perspective on everything. But I felt like I was laughing yesterday when he kept being like, hey man, you don't know if someone's like at home trying to learn English and blah blah blah. And I was just like, I mean, that's like a tiny little anecdotal thing, but it's like when you're talking about the bigger issue of like, the whole philosophical perspective on the country is completely shifting because the government is inorganically flooding in a bunch of people from different countries. It's not that it's not even a judgment call. It's just like, yo, shit's been like this and we like it like this. And then you're going to flood in these people who are not going to understand why their country sucks and ours is better. And then it's just going to be like this fucking thing where, dude, it would be the same thing for anyone else, where if you're just in Japan and now it's French, it's not to say the French are assholes. It's just to say, like, why does it have to be French now? Just because? And you're not allowed to be like, I'd really love it if it was the way it's always kind of been broadly, And it's like, it felt like he was like pushing back just to be like, because like what I was saying felt mean, And I was also, you know, you guys know how I talk. I get how it came off that way, but it is that thing where a lot of people don't want to approach these topics because they feel mean. And it's like, you got to take the fucking judgment call out of it. That's why calling your book The Virtue of Selfishness, you know, I don't know. There's part of me that goes like, you should be mature enough to not be this fucking retarded. But then there's the other part of it where it's like, Ayn Rand, you know what you were fucking doing. You know what you were fucking doing. But yeah, that's the kind of thing that people, you know, it's just, people don't want to come off mean. You know what I mean? And it's like, it's not about being mean. It's about just being like, it is what it is. You know what I mean? If your friend's got a problem with heroin, like, fuck worrying about being mean. It's not about being mean. You just go up to him and go, bro, you shouldn't be doing this. But that was my only thing. I'm not shitting on Pat, because Pat had, I forget what the fuck it was, but that Pat had a couple haymakers yesterday that I was like, damn, I didn't think about it that way. That's why I like Pat. Pat will occasionally have shit where I go like, is my friend the dumbest guy in the world? That's not the fucking immigration thing. I'm being funny right now, because Pat's had a couple opinions on, like, I remember we were talking at the Creek one time, and he was like saying like, what the fuck? He was trying to say that like The Sopranos was a sitcom, and I go, well, that's, I mean, like, it's not even about like, because we were arguing over if like The Sopranos was a comedy or not, and I go, and I felt like, you know, to some people it came off as splitting hairs, but I go, no, I don't think The Sopranos is a comedy. I think it's just funny a lot of the time, because it's like, if you present these retarded Italian thugs from fucking New Jersey, it's like, Italian people are just funny. Like, if you let them just go, they're just funny. But it's not Pat was on one yesterday about immigration. Yeah, you know what it was? I think he just didn't want to like really like pull the trigger on these topics, because again, you come off like, people are going to misconstrue you as like being a dickhead and being like, fuck immigrants. And it's just like, nah, man, again, it's back to that heroin conversation. It's back to that fucking heroin conversation. It's not about like, well, we don't want to be mean. It's like, nah, dude, I'm just going to say what's true, you know? And I don't think, I don't know. I don't think, it's not, you also don't have to be like, still a good guy. No, Pat's the best dude ever. I wouldn't be podcasting with him so much if he wasn't the best dude ever. I just thought he wasn't, I was thinking about it later afterwards. I just thought he wasn't approaching the, I thought he wasn't approaching the, immigration thing. But then I was glad we kept talking, because that's another thing Pat does, where if we can't find the middle ground, he'll just be like, yeah, you know, agree to disagree. And I go, no, there's certain ones where you're like, no. I'm like, also, we're on a podcast. I was like, let's figure this out. Because I was like, it's not even about like, you have to agree with me. It's a thing of like, we're not hearing each other. That's why I seem like someone who fucking doesn't let shit go. Because I go, we're talking past each other. We're not hearing each other. And like, we need to hear each other. Because it's like, I don't need you to agree with me, but I want you to understand where I'm coming from. And that was my fucking point, where it's like, I got no beef against like fucking immigrants or anything like that. It's just like, it's this thing where you're made to feel like an absolute racist, because you're like, hey man, I'd love it if America stayed America. You know what I mean? And I will say this, like, I think other countries like Ireland, you know, I think other countries who are like historically, you know, Africa's historically black, Ireland's historically white, Asia's, you know, Japan's historically Japanese. I think they have more of I think they have more of a valid argument to be like, yeah, I don't know, man. I don't know. I don't know if I'm like, if you're in Ireland, I don't know if I'm supposed to be hyped that it's just going to be like a shit. I don't know. Again, it's even for me, it's awkward to have, because it's like, you don't want to come off like a fucking dickhead, but it is like, you know, does Ireland have to be psyched about the like, they're not supposed to have any opinion about the fact that there's just a fuck ton of Pakistani people that weren't there before? it'd be the same thing. Like say just let's just say an inorganic amount of Irish people that refuse to assimilate just went to Japan. And you're telling me the Japanese just have to be hyped about that? You know what I mean? Like that's valid. But I think for America, because for me, like to me, America isn't about like a white Christian society. It's more about an ideal. So it's like my whole thing is like, dude, anyone's welcome. You just got to catch the vibe. That's really what it is. And I think in that, being able to like, I think that the theme of America is not about getting rid of your culture. Um it's about like coming to ours, adjusting to it, and then bringing us the good parts of your culture. That's kind of what America's about. Leave the bullshit, bring the fun. You know what I mean? It's like if you were going to a party and you had like a thing of soda, some chips, and then just a head of lettuce. You'd be like, how about you leave the head of lettuce? You know what I mean? How about you do that? You know what I mean? Like if you're Chinese, you're coming over to America. Maybe we don't, it's going to be super. I was going to make a joke and it was going to come off super racist. But you know what I mean? Like if you're from China, maybe we don't, maybe we don't fry everything that fits on a stick. Maybe you stop doing that and you sort of adjust to ours a little, but like still bring your cool shit. That to me is what America's about. Oh, were you hitting me with Andy's thing 155? Everyone is welcome if you're gonna catch the vibe. Japan has no Gaijin signs everywhere. What's that? Leave the head of lettuce. Yeah, dude, like legitimately, that's kind of like what the vibe is to me, man. Is like, like make our shit better. Don't do the goofy shit that made your shit worse. That's really what it is to me, man. Cause it's like, I know a lot of people like, people always just point to food, but like, I think, and it's not only about the food with these cultures, but it is a good, clear example where it is like, again, like, that's why I was saying the joke with you see like a Chinese food market, and you see all the crazy shit. And I'm like, yeah, dude, I'm just glad it's like General Tso's and lo mein and stuff like that. Like we don't need rats on sticks, and that's not racist. That's a thing. Don't be mad at me. It's not racist. Gaijin is Japanese for foreigners. Yeah, man. I think like some of these other countries who their whole thing is more based around their race and ethnicity and shit, they have more of like an argument to like bitch about that stuff. I just don't think America, like, don't get me wrong, like there's a lot of good things developed because of like I've heard people, is it Christian or Judeo-Christian values or the Westerner waspy shit, all that kind of stuff. Like, yeah, they brought a good base layer in. I'll give them props for that. They brought a really good base layer in for everyone. But like, I think at this point, America's not about one particular race. America's about just holding. I think it's where I'm not a big fan of Gavin McInnes anymore, but I think the being pro Western chauvinist or whatever, I think that was the term. I think it's way more about that. What is it? Western chauvinist? Yeah. Yeah. Chauvinist is an unreasonable belief in the superiority of dominance of one's own group or superior people. Oh yeah, just so like Western chauvinism, and this might get fucked up because now I'm saying Proud Boy stuff. I've been on record saying the Proud Boys are gay. I think they believe certain things that are chill, but ultimately the result, it did result in a lot of gayness. So I'm not saying yeah, Slav, buddy. You gotta. I was saying this to Pat, man. I go, I don't know if people know I don't know if people understand analogies. I wasn't. I made it very clear. I wasn't saying specifically the food, but I was using it as a broader analogy for things. I really don't. It's interesting. I really don't know if people understand analogies. Suck a dick, moldy toad. You're gonna say I'm gonna crab swirl? You guys, you pieces of shit. I crab swirled. You're the one who can't let it go that I don't love everything about Fuentes. You're gonna tell me I'm gonna crab swirl? Go fuck yourself. No, it's nothing to do with Fuentes. That's my tism. That's my tism is like, you misunderstood what I said. Legit, like if I could just like reframe everyone's perspective for a second, go back to any podcast I've been on. Most of the spazzes originate from, well, you're not understanding what I'm saying. You're not understanding. If you just think about that every time I spaz on a podcast, if you frame it in a way of you're not understanding what I'm saying, or no, that's not what I meant, it all starts to make sense. Producer Natalie and Gay Blind Mike live on Morning Zoo. You are due for an episode. I mean, me and Zach are chill. I'm pretty sure I'll be in like Flint. Is that the term? No, man, I used to do Rap is Back. I used to do that a bunch. Zach had me on a bunch doing the movie show, Spook Show. Sorry, I didn't mean, that was disrespectful. It's fucking movie show. But yeah, no, I'm pretty sure if I next time I'm up north, if I hit up Zach, I'm sure he'll have me on Morning Zoo. I was very hyped to see that. That also, Morning Zoo, I think I talked about this before, but Morning Zoo gave me a lot of respect for Lewis. That I've always respected Lewis, but Morning Zoo gave me a lot of respect for Lewis because Lewis just gave Zach the whole Real Ass Podcast feed. You know, he just changed the Real Ass Podcast feed. So rather than making Zach, not that Zach wouldn't have had a bunch of fans listening to it, but rather than making Zach start over and get people to shift over to a new feed, just giving Zach the old Real Ass Podcast feed was pretty sick. But I know they brought Real Ass Podcast back, so I don't know if that's still the thing. So wait, what the fuck was I gonna do? I was gonna do something. You guys had a bunch of good comments. Hey, Farwild, what's up, brother? That's right. You had a couple comments I wanted to read. Japan has the most valid reason for not wanting Americans around. Yeah. I like using Japan as an example because it's like, that's the other thing, dude. That's the other thing too, man. People's brains shut off if it's like people who don't have white. If you're doing an example, like if you talk about Irish people not wanting a fuck ton of Pakistani people in Ireland, people's brains shut the fuck off. But then you go like, okay, well, what if we bombed Ireland and then all the Irish went to Japan? And then they can go like, okay. Those are two people with lighter skin tones. Now I can think clearly. And it's like, yeah, like I was hearing Dave talk about it on, and I've thought this before, but the way he put it, was like, so I forget exactly how he put it, but it was like, he played this clip of Anna Kasparian on Bill Maher, and she was talking about, like, Bill Maher was doing that lazy shit, like that stupid shit where he's like defending Israel, just pretending like they haven't been an absolute problem forever. And they haven't been like murdering millions of people and they're on like fucking American welfare and all this shit. And he was just like, they were just going back to Muslim culture and radical Islam. And he's doing this whole thing. He's like, which Muslim country? He's like, which Muslim country could you, or which Middle Eastern country could you go wear a mini skirt in? Because that's by the way, the peak of what makes it that's the peak of what makes Israel the best, is that you can wear mini skirts there. And honestly, I've seen a lot of Orthodox Jews over there. I feel like they'd be a problem if you had a mini skirt around them, but that's another conversation. But no, and he's like hitting her with that, and then she's just like, you know, she goes to and it's justified to critique this, like the violence against the people. And it's like, well, no, you can, like, because she won't answer his question. And it's like, in actuality, it's like, you can acknowledge, you're like, yeah, there's parts of Muslim culture that are fucking weird and fucked up, and they don't align with the good shit over here. That doesn't mean you can bomb them into oblivion indiscriminately and all this shit. Like, there's this weird, I forget exactly how Dave said it, but he was basically saying this thing to like lefties where you're like, you're allowed to criticize non-white people. Like, there's this weird thing where they've just so directly associated criticizing someone who's not white to being like, well, I'm one of those white people who are racist and stuff like that. And you're like, no. Someone can be not white, and then the bad, like, they can do a thing that's bad and it can just be bad. It doesn't have to be because you secretly hate all people who look like that. And there's like a weird thing that a lot of people have, but yeah, so that's why if you try to throw out, you give a nod to Ireland to be like, yeah, they're kind of valid in some of their concerns and their critiques. They're like, it just doesn't make sense to them. But the second you talk about, like, Dave also has that great example of like saying, like, what if Italy just turned France? They're like, okay, those are white people to us. This one we understand. It's all very funny. Anyway, Judeo-Christian is a relatively new sect of religion that is extremely different than normal Christianity. Cough, cough. They had a big influence on it after the creation of the state of Israel. Okay, fair enough. That's what I heard. And also just Judeo. So I was like, is that, yeah. What else? Yeah, isn't rap? I saw rap's like 3 p.m. I think it's only like one day a week too. I think it's like 3 p.m. on Mondays. I saw. Sorry for the giant paragraph, but it means a lot. Wait, which paragraph? Did you have a big ass paragraph earlier? Guys, I do not mind big ass paragraphs in my chat. Japan preemptively, so America wouldn't interfere with their. Oh, you guys are talking about World War II. Attacked us unprovoked after they gave us peace medals. Yeah, hell yeah. Hell yeah, man. I think I'm all talked out. Today. Let's shift over because I wanted to do this initially. So I'm going to stop on, I think this was a good pod. This was a good pod for today. And then I'm going to stop on the Drag the Lake page. And then we're going to go over to, we're going to stay. Did Twitch not post my Teddy Roosevelt quote? I don't know. How long ago was it? Yeah. What's this? Teddy Roosevelt on immigration. I don't know. Is this going to be bad? Theodore Roosevelt's ideas on immigration and being in America in 1907. In the first place, we should insist that if the immigrant who comes here in good faith becomes an American and assimilates himself to us, he shall be treated on an exact equality with everyone else, for it is an outrage to discriminate against any such man because of creed or birthplace or origin. But this is predicated upon the person's becoming in every facet an American and nothing but an American. There can be no divided allegiance here. Any man who says he is an American but something else also isn't an American at all. We have room for that. I can't read. We have room for but one flag, the American flag. We have room but one language here, and that is the English language. And we have room for but one sole loyalty, and that's loyalty to the American people. I mean, that rips pretty hard. Shout out Teddy Roosevelt. All right, that's a good place to end. On the Drag the Lake. I'll still be here on Twitch and stuff playing tunes. But yeah, that's it for today on Drag the Lake. I mean, that's fair enough. You got half the show, half the ep, you know. A 1 hour solo rips pretty hard. I'm pretty proud of myself. But yes, hell yeah. All right. Enough on fucking YouTube.